Things have been really good here at R2 Surgical. We've had lots of growth across the board and increasing the number of employees that we have at the company. And everybody is committed to the cause, which we are providing, which is, of course, more affordable surgical robots. We have been doing our very best to spread our brand awareness and really get the word of what we're doing out there across all mediums and platforms. We've been attending a lot of trade shows in the past year. That's been different for us. We have been making more of a presence, at least here in the US primarily, to get in touch with IDNs and health systems that could be in need of a more affordable surgical robotic system, but also at conferences overseas like Society of Robotic Surgery. We've gone to that conference more than once now, and it continues to provide fruitful returns for us in what we're trying to accomplish. And we've developed unique partnerships as a result with either manufacturers or international or domestic suppliers of robotic equipment and supplies. And the whole point, of course, is to make sure that we advance significantly in our abilities to sustain Da Vinci robotic programs from our own capabilities, because our ability to do that rests in being able to provide the whole picture, the robot as equipment, the instruments as supply, and then, of course, the support or the service aspect as well to help get a minimally invasive surgical robotics program off and up the ground and running. R2 Surgical has been rooted in what I'd like to say our crown jewel is, which is supporting new robotic programs from the ground up. We have had to be very creative in how we accomplish that. Leasing or renting a robot is something that's new for us, and it's functional for the program and the hospital, the surgeon that we're helping, because it's always been a challenge to invest in equipment at such, even at what is a more affordable dollar value, just to be able to make that investment without the guarantee, let's say, or the complete assurance of how long you can continue to use that system. So leasing or renting is something that we've been exploring lately, and it's still has a focus on making a program the proper way, about patient safety and outcomes, but also it creates a level of what we've always been looking to achieve, which is a more affordable system. And there's an aspect to it which also focuses on sustainability. So there's definitely a tie-in between leasing a robot, renting a robot, being able to have the choice of what to do with it at the end of that term. There's a sustainability aspect there with we can take that robot back and then put it into service somewhere else. But to talk about sustainability a bit more, that's actually something we are primarily focused on. Here in the U.S. domestically, there's now this push to talk about what's called a remanufactured Da Vinci instrument, but that happens through the collection of those instruments. And so instead of disposing of those in the general waste stream at hospitals, we can collect those instruments and reduce the amount of waste, of course, and then put some of those instruments back into supply after remanufacturing them. Now that only applies to one instrument in particular right now, but our company is focused on that sustainability aspect, and that's definitely a future for lowering costs of surgical instrumentation budget and also reducing waste. Hospitals can benefit by selling a robot to R2 rather than trading in with Intuitive, because what we offer is cash. It's plain and simple in that fact. Cash, not credit. We are a second option. A hospital, large or small, should always shop around. Just because Intuitive might have always been the best option doesn't mean that they're the only option anymore. So when trading a robot in, talk to us. It doesn't void a service contract. It doesn't change anything that has to do with a warranty or service on the new system that might be coming in. It's completely up to the choice of the hospital what to do with that equipment in most instances. And we need those X and XI Da Vinci robots because we put them back into circulation where otherwise they would not go. We're giving the robot a second life. We continue to hear a few misconceptions on the secondary market about robots and the associated equipment. First one is that a robot could be outdated or risky. If I specifically talk about a Da Vinci robot, this is something that a lot of companies who are developing their competitive robots with Da Vinci are only now just starting to enter the marketplace with. And so while they might have something that is state of the art, currently it's only just now competing with the Da Vinci model. So an older system, an SI robot, for instance, while it might technically be outdated, it's still the foundation of which that technology is being compared to and created upon. So we reduce the risk in acquiring a Da Vinci SI robot, for instance, because we are able to coach on service and we are able to perform various aspects of fixing those systems to make sure that they stay functional not only for a short time, but quite a long time. Another myth or another misconception is that pre-owned instruments, accessories, endoscopes, by purchasing those, it might void the service contract with the manufacturer. That might be true if it's not an approved product, if it's not something that the OEM claims as original or specifies as such. So what we have in our stock at R2 Surgical is all original products. If we acquire an instrument from a hospital here in the United States, we have the capability to test that, and we are able to put it back into service on a robot. It still has all of its original manufacturing details. So that would be approved by the OEM. We, as I mentioned, test and verify the functionality, and we can give proof of that. The one particular instrument, which is, let's say, a caveat to this, but also applicable and does not void any service contracts, is a remanufactured Da Vinci instrument, specifically the monopolar curved scissor for the X or the XI robot. That is the only instrument which is approved by the FDA, which has a 510K clearance process attached to it to be applicable and used on a Da Vinci robot system. So the manufacturer cannot void a service contract for using that instrument. Another misconception would be that selling your Da Vinci robot isn't worth the time or the hassle or the effort. While that certainly is a tough misconception to break through, because we are the only company which is doing what we do, going with the manufacturer, it might always be easy, but it's definitely not budget friendly. Our process also similarly follows what the manufacturer's process would be, in that we need basic details to evaluate a system. And if a hospital is truly caring about saving, our process does not add much stress on them, and it's absolutely worth it. We know the equipment better than most, and we can evaluate the system in a pretty quick fashion. It just takes a day. But at the same time, when we are going to be moving that system as well, we can take care of the transportation and the removal all on our own as well. The misconception that a third party cannot be trusted is a challenge, because what we're doing is we're really writing the script we're changing the language out there about why a secondhand Da Vinci is okay. We differentiate ourselves with the hands-on knowledge of these systems, about the supplies, the equipment, and the disposables, everything that goes along with the Da Vinci robot. And we do test and validate everything that we do. One great example would be an accessory or something that can be used more than once, over and over, such as an endoscope for the Da Vinci XI robot. If we know it works, which we do, then we can provide it to you, and it's the same exact product which Intuitive created from the very beginning. So that can absolutely be applied to the robot that might be accepting of it, because it can be used multiple times. It doesn't have an expiration date, and even if it is considered in a used condition, we've confirmed it to be functional, and we know so. And that doesn't void anything as far as a service contract goes. So third parties, not every third party can do what we do in that essence. Another misconception is that selling your Da Vinci robot is not worth the time and effort that it might take. And we can absolutely address that. It's something that is not necessarily easy to do at any time. Intuitive, or the OEM might make it seem easy to just trade in with them. But what R2 Surgical can offer is an actual cash value dollar amount towards that robot, rather than something that might be an instrument credit. And we can beat that credit as well, which might be an offer from the manufacturer. In order to do so, it's quite simple in that we just need the details of the system to evaluate it. And then also, if we can come on site and perform an inspection of our own, we can remove the system at the time when it needs to be removed and deinstalled, and handle all of that internally and make it a smooth process for the hospital. If a hospital truly cares about saving money, then it's absolutely something that should be looked into with a bit more time than whatever the easiest route might be perceived as. One of our clients, which proves that buying a Da Vinci robot, even though it might appear to be outdated or can perceive that way, isn't necessarily true, is our client in Nigeria, who runs the prostate clinic, Dr. Kingsley. He was a firm believer in Da Vinci itself. While he had experience on an SI robot, it wasn't necessarily what he currently had been using, but in this mission of his to create a center in Nigeria, in Lagos, which could perform robotic surgery, it made the most sense to have a Da Vinci SI robot. And so that ability to keep something running at a high level requires dedication and commitment on both sides, from the surgeon and the staff and the team using the robot, to our ability to prepare that robot, transport it diligently, be very specific and careful with the equipment at the same time. So that mutual understanding is something that, well, of course, needs to go both ways, and certainly aids to breaking down the misnomer of something outdated being too risky. So in the US, it might seem outdated. Anywhere else in the world, honestly, most other places in the world, it's absolutely still considered state-of-the-art technology. As Dr. Kingsley's program continues to grow more, it will require a higher level of attention from us, but it's no different than the amount of attention we give it already. So we remain very focused on making sure that something which needs to have regular maintenance and needs to have special care and attention continues to be that way. That's the kind of commitment that anybody can have in working with R2. We are incredibly proud of reaching at least 6 continents. Maybe it would make sense at some point to get everywhere in the world, that 7th continent, but we'll remain consistently focused on places, countries and places where surgeons show a great level of interest to bring the technology to their place of residence and to their people. We do have the opportunity to follow the path of certain manufacturers, which are going into places where it's already an established thing, but we are uniquely positioned to continue digging into the countries and locations where manufacturers don't necessarily show interest, because we can offer the full suite of offering on a Da Vinci robot in particular. So where we are going to go in the future is continuously going to be everywhere, but we would love to start to get more systems in the places where we've already been as well, and really kind of build that infrastructure and ecosystem on our own with our clients and our customers. I strongly urge and really offer, just Google search, use surgical robot. Just go out there and try to find an option. And then when you find us, reach out to us. We are happy to have informative conversations and really explore what the nature of the request might be and how we can fit what we can do for that particular request. That's how we've established all of our installations across the globe. We are very approachable, and I would like to say that, we are inquisitive at the same time. We're curious about what's going on the other end, the person that we're talking to, you who might be reaching out to us. Just have that conversation with us. Just reach out, and you don't know what you don't know. So ask, and we'll be happy to inform on everything that we know along the way.